Have you ever had that experience where you pick up, I don't know, a new gadget or open an app and it just clicks?
Yeah.
Like you instantly know what to do. It feels effortless, almost uh, magical even.
Mm,
But then the flip side, we've all been there, right?
Fair.
Staring at a screen, totally baffled.
Completely lost.
Yeah, convinced the tech is like actively trying to mess with you. That printer that just won't connect, or maybe an app update that makes something simple suddenly infuriating.
Definitely been there.
So what's the secret? What's the hidden logic or, sometimes illogic behind those moments?
Hmm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into two really fundamental concepts. They're kind of the hidden architects of how we interact with tech every single day: affordances and constraints.
That's right. And these principles, they really determine whether using something feels intuitive or just plain confusing. Whether we get things done easily or just struggle.
Right. They're like the silent guides shaping our digital lives. So our mission today is to unpack these ideas. We'll look at some maybe surprising real-world examples and figure out why they're more critical than ever. Especially now with AI and immersive tech coming on strong. We're basically giving you a shortcut to understanding why some tech feels like an extension of your own thoughts and why other tech feels like it's setting you up to fail.
It's all about that design layer.
Okay, let's pull back the curtain a bit. Starting with affordances. It's a term you hear a lot in design circles. What exactly are they? How do they feel in our, daily tech use?
Okay, so at its core, affordances are the perceived possibilities for action. It's about what you, the user, believe you can do with something.
Perceive.
Yes,
Okay.
perceived, based on cues visual, maybe auditory, even tactile ones like touch. And the key thing is, we form these perceptions almost instantly, often without even consciously thinking about it.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about what is physically possible, but what our brain interprets as possible from the design cues.
Exactly, like maybe a subtle animation when you hover over something, or that little bounce when you tap a button on screen.
Right. Those aren't just like decorative elements.
No, not at all. They're critical signals. They tell you what's possible, and importantly, they often confirm that your action actually worked. It makes the intangible feel a bit more tangible.
Yeah. That confirmation is huge.
It is, and that really highlights the importance of perceived affordances in design. Good design taps into these cues we pick up on naturally, almost instinctively.
Okay, so let's dig into some specific types. We're all super familiar with visual affordances. What makes them so powerful? Why do they work so well?
Well, they're definitely the most common. Think about a digital button on a screen.
Right.
Maybe it looks slightly raised, or it's a bright color, maybe it has an illuminated ring around it, or even just an icon, like an envelope for email or a triangle for play.
Mm-hmm.
All those visual elements clearly communicate, hey, you can press this, or tap me. And often they hint at the function, too. They're designed to be pretty unmistakable.
Right. But it's not just about what we see anymore, is it? Tactile and haptic affordances being really sophisticated.
Yeah.
How are phones and devices using physical feedback now?
Oh, absolutely. They're using physical feedback, touch, vibration to convey information in really clever ways.
Like the little buzz when you pay with your phone.
Exactly. Or even different haptic patterns. A light tap might feel different from a deep press if the hardware supports it.
Ah, okay.
This can communicate different actions or just confirm something worked successfully. It adds this whole other layer of feedback, making things feel more responsive, more real, even if you're not looking right at the screen.
That's brilliant. It makes interactions feel less abstract.
Precisely.
Speaking of adapting, I keep thinking about the iPhone's dynamic island. It seems like its shape changes to tell you things. Is that an example of an adaptive affordance?
It absolutely is. That's a perfect example. The dynamic island literally changes its form to communicate different possibilities for interaction.
How so?
Well, it might be just a compact little pill shape for a quick notification or some background activity like music playing.
Right.
But then it can expand into a larger shape to give you more controls or information, like when you're on a call or using Face ID. The changing shape itself becomes the affordance. It dynamically shows you what you can do right then.
Wow. Okay, that's clever. And looking even further ahead, AI. It feels like AI is introducing something really different. Predictive affordances. What's that about?
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting. Predictive affordances are where the AI system tries to anticipate what you, the user, might want to do next.
Okay.
And it presents relevant options before you even ask for them. Imagine you're writing an email, and based on who you're writing to or what you've written, the system suggests common attachments or maybe even helps you phrase something.
Oh, like Gmail's Smart Compose feature, maybe?
Exactly like that. Or suggesting the next app you might want to open based on your habits. It's about proactively offering the right affordance at hopefully the right time.
Okay, so affordances tell us what we can do, the possibilities. Now let's flip that. What about constraints? Are they just obstacles, things that get in the way?
No, not at all. That's a common misconception. Constraints are actually incredibly helpful. They're limitations, yes, but they guide, restrict, or sometimes prevent actions.
Guide.
Right. Rather than being obstacles, good constraints actually help users. They prevent errors. They steer you towards interacting successfully. They basically define what you cannot or maybe should not do, often for your own good.
That clicks immediately. Like those grayed out buttons or menu options in software.
Exactly.
You can't click them because the feature isn't available right then, or maybe you haven't selected something first. It prevents you from even trying something that won't work.
Precisely. It avoids confusion and frustration. And our sources actually break down constraints into 4 distinct types, each playing a vital role.
Okay, let's hear them.
First up are physical constraints. These are limitations baked into the hardware itself, physically preventing incorrect actions. Like how you can't plug a USB-A cable in upside down.
Perfect example. The asymmetrical shape physically stops you. Or think about how older SIM cards only fit into the tray one way. These physical limits prevent damage or incorrect use.
Got it. Physical limits. What's next?
Second, we have logical constraints. These are rules built into the system's logic that prevent actions that would be, well, logically impossible or cause problems.
Like what?
For instance, your computer's operating system usually stops you from deleting a file if it's currently open in an application.
Right. To prevent crashing the app or losing data.
Exactly. It protects the system's stability and your work. It's a logical safeguard.
Makes sense. Number 3.
Third are cultural constraints. Now, these are really interesting. They're based on learned behaviors, social conventions, things we understand as a society.
Okay. Like red meaning stop.
That's the classic example. Across most cultures, red universally signals stop, danger, or warning. Designers rely on this shared understanding to guide behavior without needing explicit instructions. Traffic lights, warning signs. Yeah, you don't need a manual for a red light.
Right. And finally, number 4, semantic constraints. These are about meaning. They're limitations based on the context, the meaning of the elements within an application.
Meaning-based. How does that work?
Think about a calendar app. It will likely prevent you from scheduling an event in the past.
Because that doesn't make sense in the context of planning future events.
Exactly. It would be semantically meaningless within the purpose of a calendar. The system understands the meaning of time in this context and applies a constraint.
Okay. Physical, logical, cultural, semantic. That's a really clear breakdown. So how do these constraints and the affordances we talked about actually work together? How do they combine to shape how we use tech and make it feel intuitive or not? Let's try and ground this. How do these principles actually play out in the tech we use every single day? Smartphones seem like a good place to start. They're packed with this stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. Smartphones are practically showcases for affordances and constraints working together. Visually, they excel. Icons, text labels, buttons that look pressable, subtle animations, they constantly signal what you can do.
Like the little lines indicating you can swipe up from the bottom.
Exactly. Touch gestures themselves are key affordances. And constraints. Think about those grayed out options we mentioned. They clearly show this isn't available right now.
Right. Or confirmation dialogues. You sure you want to delete this?
Yes. That's a crucial constraint preventing accidental data loss. So the affordances invite action and the constraints guide you safely.
Okay, what about something less visual, like voice assistants, Alexa, Google Assistant? How do affordances and constraints work there?
That's a great contrast. With voice, the affordances are primarily audio. The system uses conversational prompts, what can I help you with, that invite you to speak. Different tones of voice might signal a question versus a statement. Even strategic pauses can afford you a chance to jump in or respond.
And the constraints.
Big ones are the wake words, Alexa, hey Google, that constrains the device from listening all the time.
Right. Prevents accidental activation.
Exactly. Plus privacy modes, like turning off the microphone, and often context filtering, trying to prevent inappropriate responses if it detects children are present, for example.
Interesting. Okay, moving out from our pockets and into our homes. Smart home devices like maybe a Google Nest Hub or similar displays. What's happening there?
Those devices often blend visual and other affordances. Gesture recognition is a big one on some models.
Like waving your hand to snooze an alarm.
Exactly. That's a clear affordance, the ability to interact without touching, and some use proximity sensors.
How does that work?
As you get closer to the device, the interface might automatically change. It could show more detailed information or make touch targets bigger, affording easier interaction when you're nearby.
Ah, adapting the affordances based on your physical context. Clever.
It anticipates your likely need.
Okay, now for the really immersive stuff. Virtual and augmented reality, MetaQuest, things like that. This feels like a whole new playground for affordances and constraints.
It really is. In VRR, hand tracking is becoming a primary affordance, being able to reach out and grab or manipulate virtual objects with your actual
It
hands.
makes it feel much more direct and intuitive than controllers sometimes.
It can, yeah. And another crucial affordance, especially in AR, is spatial anchors.
Spatial anchors.
Yeah, that's what makes a virtual object seem like it's fixed in your real-world space. You place a virtual lamp on your real desk, walk around it, and it stays put relative to the desk.
Okay. That stability is key for believability.
Absolutely. It affords interaction with a seemingly stable virtual world blended with your real one. But VR also needs strong constraints for safety.
Like the Guardian systems, the
Yeah.
boundaries.
Exactly. Those visual boundaries, like a grid appearing when you get close to a real wall or furniture, that's a critical constraint preventing you from bumping into things in the real world while you're immersed. It's productive.
All right, keeps you from walking into the couch. Roughly. So what I find really fascinating here is how AI is starting to stir the pot. It feels like AI isn't just using existing affordances and constraints, it's actively changing them, making them dynamic. How is AI reshaping affordances?
You're right. AI is making affordances much more dynamic and intelligent. We're seeing interfaces where elements literally appear or disappear based on what the AI thinks you're trying to do right now.
Like toolbars changing in an app.
Exactly. In a complex program, maybe finance software, the available tools, the affordances might adapt to the specific task you're performing, hiding irrelevant options. And then there are those predictive affordances we touched on earlier.
Where it tries to guess your next move.
Yeah, proactively offering actions or information it thinks you'll need, trying to streamline your workflow before you even ask.
Okay, and what about constraints? Is AI changing how systems limit us? It sounds almost like tech could become a sort of gentle guide or guardian.
That's actually a really good way to think about it. AI is enabling more sophisticated constraint patterns. One emerging idea is progressive disclosure.
Progressive disclosure.
Instead of hitting you with all the features at once, which can be overwhelming, the system gradually reveals more complex functionality only as you seem ready for it, based on your usage. It's like a guided learning path.
Okay, that makes sense, like leveling up in a game almost.
Sort of, yeah. Another one is contextual limitations. The system understands more about your situation, your location, maybe even stress level someday, and applies constraints accordingly.
Like parental controls that adapt based on not just age, but maybe the time of day
Yeah.
or the child's recent activity.
Precisely. Or a driving app disabling certain notifications while you're moving. And critically, we're seeing the rise of ethical constraints.
Ethical constraints, what does that involve?
This is where AI systems are designed to refuse harmful requests, or perhaps explain why something isn't allowed or advisable, turning a limitation into a teachable moment. It's about building in safeguards that align with well-being and ethical principles.
Wow. So with AI adding these layers of dynamic affordances and intelligent constraints, what does the future of how we interact with computers actually look like? Are we heading towards interfaces that just disappear?
It's certainly pushing in that direction. The future seems to involve a few key trends. First, much deeper contextual intelligence.
Beyond just location.
Way beyond. Systems analyzing your context, maybe stress levels from wearables, your social situation, your goals to offer the most relevant affordances, and apply the most helpful constraints at exactly the right moment. It's about anticipating needs on a much deeper level.
Okay, that's potentially powerful. Maybe a little scary too.
It raises questions, for sure. Second is a richer form of inclusive design, going way beyond basic accessibility. Thinking about creating interfaces that work naturally for people with really diverse cognitive abilities, sensory preferences, combining multiple channels seamlessly, high contrast visuals, clear voice guidance, subtle haptic feedback, simplified workflows all working together. making technology truly usable for everyone.
That sounds incredibly important.
It is. And third, really focusing on ethical constraint design. This is about protecting users from harmful patterns like addiction, distraction, privacy violations, while still respecting their agency.
So constraints designed to help us, not just restrict us?
Exactly. Think features like attention management tools, maybe usage limits you set yourself, or smarter notification batching, and robust privacy safeguards built in. Transparency about data, real user consent, automatic deletion of data that's no longer needed.
So after this whole deep dive, someone listening might be thinking, okay, interesting concepts, but why does this really matter to me? What's the takeaway?
Well, understanding affordances and constraints is really the bedrock of creating technology that actually serves human needs effectively. For anyone designing or building tech, it's fundamental. It changes how you think about crafting an interface, that careful balance between showing possibilities and setting helpful limits.
And for the rest of us, the users.
For you, the user, understanding this helps you become more mindful and, frankly, more effective when you use technology.
How so? More effective.
When you start recognizing why an interface works the way it does, spotting the affordances, understanding the constraints, you shift your mental energy, less focus on how do I make this thing work, and more on what do I actually want to achieve.
So it reduces that cognitive load of just figuring out the tool.
Exactly. You become better at navigating systems, achieving your goals, and maybe less likely to fall into design traps or get frustrated by poorly designed interactions.
That makes sense.
Ultimately, the goal here, the ideal, is to create technology that feels like a completely natural extension of our own capabilities. When affordances and constraints are perfectly balanced, perfectly intuitive, the technology itself just fades into the background. It disappears.
It becomes invisible. So this deep dive really shows how this hidden architecture, affordances and constraints, it shapes every single tap, every swipe, every voice command we make. It's all about designing tech that feels natural, that prevents those frustrating errors, and ultimately that enhances what we can do as humans.
And by understanding these principles, by applying them thoughtfully, we can really start to envision a future where technology truly serves humanity, where the interface does become invisible and our potential, our possibilities become, well, maybe limitless.
So here's a final thought to leave you with.
Yeah.
Imagine if the tools you use every day really did become invisible. If you could just focus purely on what you want to create or learn or experience without wrestling with the technology itself.
What new possibilities, things you haven't even imagined yet, would that open up for you?